Stay thirsty, friends. What's going on, my guys? Lost and Found Dating Channel. Back at it again like we never left. And we're back with another dating topic for you guys this week. Hope you've been enjoying the videos thus far. I always forget this when I'm doing these intros. Make sure that you guys check out the Instagram page, Lost and Found Dating Tips. We also have a Twitter page, Lost and Found Dating Tips. Wanted to get that out there. Make sure you go check out some of the pics on there, some of the videos. Go like it, go follow us on our social media. But without further ado, let's get into this week's dating topic. All right, guys, so we got a spicy one for you this week. In this week's video, we're gonna be talking about approaching women and handling what I call default rejection mode. Now, some of you are probably wondering, I know what approaching women means. I know what it means to approach a woman. What does default rejection mode mean? So let's dive into it. Follow me. So default rejection mode is a term that I came up with. To my knowledge, I haven't heard anyone use it aside from me. But basically, it's a defense mechanism that some women will use based on their previous experiences as far as guys approaching them or guys coming up to them to start a conversation. Some women out there are used to guys catcalling them or coming up to them and using some ridiculous pickup line or maybe even saying something that's rude or offensive to them. And that's just what they're used to. So sometimes what will happen is any guy who comes up to them to approach them, they'll often put that guy in that category and just assume that that's going to be his strategy as far as going up to them and starting a conversation. So based on that assumption and that sort of defense mechanism that they have, a lot of women out there tend to have their guard up when they go out, you know, to the club or go out for drinks with their friends. They tend to have kind of a higher guard because they're used to a lot of guys coming up to them and using that strategy and using that approach. What that means for you is that even if that wasn't going to be your style of approach, even if that wasn't going to be what you intended to do, sometimes you just kind of get placed in that category and treated as such when you go up to a woman and approach her. So in a nutshell, that is what I call default rejection mode. So what are some recommendations I would give as far as how you can manage that and how you can help her kind of let her guard down when you first come up to her and introduce yourself? So number one is making sure she can see you when you go up to her, right? If you come up to her from behind and you come up and walk behind her and you try to whisper in her ear, one, that's weird. Two, she's reacting to someone she can't even see, right? That's not gonna help you in any way, shape, or form. Somebody come up to you. Dude, just come up to you, start breathing. Start breathing right there, right on this part right here. You have to keep in mind that if you come up to her from behind, she can't see your face, she can't see your body language, so that doesn't lend itself to lowering her guard down. If anything, it lends itself to her raising her guard. If her first interaction with you is you reaching for or grabbing her hand or putting your arm around her waist or leaning, into her, there's a chance that she's just going to reject you just based on that, just based on you invading her personal space, even without having looked at you, without having, tried to explore a conversation with you. Just because you led with sort of physical touch, that could cause her to just reject you, from the start. Are there some women who will respond positively to you initiating the interaction through physical touch? Sure, it's possible. Are there some women who they may not reject you, but it makes them uncomfortable and maybe they tolerate it in certain situations, but they really don't like it? That's, I'm sure very common as well. But in my eyes, it's a high risk, low reward approach. And to be honest, I think for a lot of you guys, if you changed that one thing, if instead of reaching for her hand or putting your arm around her waist or her shoulder, and you just opened your mouth and said something and started a conversation, I think some of you guys out there would actually start to get results. It's just that when you break that touch barrier too quickly and she's uncomfortable with that, there's a strong likelihood that she may reject you just based off of you doing that. And her guard now being raised just because you broke that physical touch barrier. So make sure you engage verbally first. And again, you'd be surprised, guys. Some women, just the fact that you spoke and you didn't reach for their hand or try to touch them or enter their space in some sort of way, some women will appreciate that, just that act in and of itself. Some women will appreciate that and actually have a conversation and see what it is that you have to say, and they're not gonna reject you immediately or have that sort of default rejection response because you didn't try to break the physical touch barrier. We're gonna do it this way, we're gonna keep it clean. Number 3 is be aware of your and her surroundings. And mainly what I mean by that is make sure you take into account whether she has friends or people who are standing next to her or who are in her vicinity. Now, there's a reason why that's super important. If she's standing there with friends, you want to make sure that you're also acknowledging her friends and the people who are with her, that you're not just ignoring everything else around her and just talking directly to her. That's super important. That happens, or guys get sort of tunnel vision lasered in on this one woman, and maybe she's standing with a bunch of friends and you just sort of barge in and you step in front of one of them, or you bump into one of them and you try to have a conversation with her without acknowledging the people around her, right? So you totally ignore her friends and the other women around her and you just start a conversation with her, and then her friend, who's very extroverted and very comfortable speaking out, comes up to you and goes, "Excuse me," and then you just feel like an idiot because you didn't say hi to her friend. You don't want to do that, right? So make sure you say hi to everyone, introduce yourself, spread the love, but you don't want to get the "excuse me," friend coming up to you. Because look, the default rejection could come from the woman you're approaching, or it may come from her friend, right? Let's say the two of you, maybe you and the woman are building some good conversation, and then you walk away and her friend's like, "That guy was so rude. He didn't even say hi to anyone. He just came up to you." And then you get a bad rap and a bad reputation because you didn't acknowledge your friends. You didn't spread the love. So make sure you spread the love, fellas. Spread it. So the better impression that you make in her friends' eyes and in the eyes of the people around her, the better of an impression you're gonna make on her. And when they feel like you came across as very respectful, you know, they're gonna share that, more than likely they're gonna share that with her and give their opinions. And if they felt like you didn't come across as respectful, they're gonna share those opinions and that feedback as well. So make sure you keep that in mind, fellas. So wrapping things up, those are 3 tips on how to manage default rejection mode when you're approaching women. In review, guys, make sure you are respecting physical space. Make sure that she can see you. You're not coming up to her from behind, or she has no idea where you're coming from. Make sure you're opening the interaction verbally, not with physical touch, in my humble opinion. And make sure you're aware of the surroundings, people around her. Introducing yourself if she has friends or other people who are in the vicinity. Could be guys or could be women. Introduce yourself. Again, spread the love. So wrapping up, guys, Lost and Found Dating Channel, signing out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like us on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. See you next time. Peace.